Okay, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me? Give me a quick thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, gotten a couple of high fives, so we'll call that good enough. Hopefully everyone else can hear me as well. So welcome to today's Learnabout session. My name is Olivia Morris. If you've not attended one of these before, I work for Metronet and I don't recognize a lot of the names of the attendees. So I'm going to say that we are located in St. Paul, Minnesota in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. And Metronet is a multi-county, multi-type library group. We serve the function of supporting libraries of all types. That's the multi-type part. The multi-county part is that we serve the 7-county metro area. So public, academic, special, and school libraries are who we support, and we support them through programming such as this, as well as other events and scholarships and networking. So if you've not heard of us, please visit our website, which I will be putting in the chat here in just a moment. I also have a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. One is a link to a brief slideshow, which I'm not actually going to be working from today. I put it together and then decided it's not something that's really needed for today's event, but I want you guys to have access to it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the chat for you. And then also Metronet's website is in there as well, although that is all over the slideshow that I just shared with you. So feel free to look at that and keep it for your own future use. It does have some useful links in there, as well as how to find future events that we are running and some things that will be useful for today's event. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So you are looking at my Google homepage here. And today in our Learnabout, we are going to be talking about the Google Chrome web browser. So I've received some requests from people for different things that they have been interested in as far as these Learnabouts, these brief 1-hour webinars, just to get you a little more information about a product or service that you might use. So far, they've all been Google related. However, that is not mandatory. Coming in January, we're going to be doing Canva, which I'm really excited about. I have a guest lecturer coming in to do the Canva Learnabout since it's not my area of expertise. However, if there's something that you would like to learn more about, feel free to email me directly and let me know, and I would be happy to put together a Learnabout on your preferred topic. If I can't do it myself, I will find someone who can. So you're definitely able to do that. Okay, so close that. So one of the things that was requested was Google Calendar. Someone asked me, and we're doing that next month on October 17th. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, well, maybe Google Chrome. Maybe we should take a look at this because a lot of people use Google Chrome, but might not know all of the features that it offers. So I will say two things. One, when I'm speaking about Google Chrome, I am talking about the web browser, specifically what you are searching on the internet, this page that you're seeing right here, the Google with the search. However, the full browser, which would include the tabs that you're in, I'm going to also show you a few things about that. So if you are in a different browser, say Safari or Firefox or Microsoft Edge or whatever it is that you're using, you can always navigate to the Google homepage and search Google through there, but that will lose some of the functionality through the tabs. And that's okay. I just want to make sure we're differentiating between the two. So as far as the tabs, and I will let you know that I have, I'm working on a new computer for the very first time. This is my first presentation on this computer. And I went on here and I practiced and I played and it still feels awkward. I'm so used to working within my Chromebook. And I thought maybe I should run the Chromebook for this Google Chrome webinar, but Zoom is not a huge fan of Chromebooks. So they've really limited the amount that you can do on Zoom. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it from the Microsoft laptop and see how that goes. So forgive me if there's a little bit of stumbling because it does all feel new. It shouldn't, but it does. Apparently the computer matters more than I think. So I just want to get that out of the way. So what you're looking at here I am accessing the Google Chrome browser as opposed to the Microsoft Edge browser. So in the Google Chrome browser, I have a Google tab. And then when I open a new tab, I see the Google homepage again. So this would be different from opening up a new tab in Safari or something where it wouldn't necessarily default to Google Chrome. Of course, and I think just about every web browser, you can change that default. So whatever browser you prefer will open up. So it doesn't have to be Bing or Yahoo or whatever else they're using, Safari. You can set those to be Google Chrome if you prefer. But if you're using Google Chrome, it is nice. It just automatically defaults. It gives me this beautiful theme behind it, but otherwise they're pretty much the same. There's not a lot. One of the things that Google has done has kept their homepage very, very clean. So there's not a lot to deal with on here. It's the focus is the search. It's the finding information. But just to show you a few things. So on the upper left, we have the About tab, which I'm happy to show you, although I will say, unless you really, really, really are interested in the history of Google and everything that Google does, which you may be, that's where you find this information. And then there's some more across the top things that you can look at to find out more about Google. So that's on there. And then also the Google Store. So the Google Store that is linked on here is the actual store where you can buy Google products. So if you want a Google phone, there's the Google Watch, Google. It's like visiting Apple's homepage. If you want to buy their products, this is where you find that information on there. So 2 tabs I really almost never use. Over here on the right, we have a dedicated link to Gmail. So I'm just going to tap on that. I am signed in, so it's automatically taking me to my particular Gmail page. If not, it would prompt you to sign in if you have not yet signed in. I find when using Google, because I am a dedicated Google user, I use it on my Windows computer, I use it on my Chromebook, I use it on my Apple MacBook, I use it on my iPad, my phone. I'm very much a Google user, so I always sign in. So in the upper right hand corner, you will see that I am actually signed in here. That's why I have this little icon. It's not just a little generic dot that's prompting you to sign in. I'm signed in because then my information carries between accounts. So my searches will carry across my different computers, my different devices. If I go to search something on my phone in an hour, it'll pop up with prompts for things that I searched during this event. It shares all of that information across different products and services. And I think that's what makes it really user-friendly. I think a lot of them do that as well. I honestly don't know. I haven't spent enough time with the other browsers. They probably do that as well, but it's pretty seamless within Google. So I like that. So that's, like I said, that's why I'm signed in here and here. If you are looking to do a Google image search, which is a very common search among Google, you can actually click here and switch just for images. The long way around is searching, say, dog. And then once it comes up, actually switching to the image tab, or you could see that it defaults to a section of images right on top. So you could do that, or in this case, if you're knowing you're going to look in images, you can just start with your Google image search and dog, and then see pictures of cute, adorable little doggies for you. So just, it's one of their most popular searches on Google. That's why there is a dedicated link to the images right there. So Gmail and images are 2 of the most popular that people use. Next to that, this little 9-dot grid, this is a link to all of the Google products that you may be using. So if I click on that, you will see, account, Gmail, here's your link to your Google Drive, individual products within the Drive, Calendar, Meet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go on to other Google products, YouTube, Google Photos, things that maybe aren't used as much. They get less likely as you go on down. And then these bottom ones here are things like this Cami product is something that I added. Easy Bib, these are things that I added to use with my Google, so I do use them, although they're not necessarily Google products. They are done through Google extensions. Speaking of, if Google extensions, and those would be like add-on products, like apps for your Google browser. If you are interested in that at all, I have done a webinar on that, and you will find that on our YouTube channel, the MetroNet YouTube channel, which is linked in that slideshow that I sent out earlier. So if you are all interested in that, you are more than welcome to check that out. And of course, let me know if you have any questions on that. So from here, like I said, if there's something that you wanted to see, if you were looking for your calendar, you can go ahead and click on that here and it defaults to it if you're signed in. If you're not, it's going to go ahead and prompt you to sign in at this point. So let's get back here to the page. So that is how the Google apps work right here. And you will see those, they're always in that dedicated upper right-hand corner. So along the bottom, and there's so much stuff on this screen through Zoom, it does not feel to me like this is a very clean interface, although it is more clean than most. So along the bottom, there are a couple other tabs here. The far left is advertising. If you are at all interested in becoming an advertiser on Google, if you want to know how that works, etc., you can certainly click on this and read about it to find more information. So, so that's how you can advertise on Google. You can click on that right there. Then we have business down here. So if you have a Google business account, or if you would like to get a Google business account, maybe you have a small business and you want to use Google to support your business, use Google products, this is where you can find information about that. And then the third link on the lower left there is the how search works. And I think this one is probably one of the more useful links on there, and also one that I would imagine hardly anyone ever actually looks at, because I think most people don't stop to think, how does the search work? Or possibly most people don't care how the search works. They're just happy that it does, which I completely understand. But if you are in the education field, it might benefit you to know, or you may get questions that on how does this work? Why is this coming up first on Google over this or that or the other? So if you're interested in how Google works, how they have built their algorithms, how things are sorted when they come back in the search results, you can find all of that information on here. There's quite a bit of information packed into this, including a 1-hour video on how they do the Google search. So like I said, if you are at all curious, or if it's something that you need to know for the future, definitely try looking at the Google search, which can be found in the lower left there. Then there's this carbon neutral since 2007. And I have to tell you, as much as I've looked at this, either this is new, this actual link, or it's just something that I've looked at but never seen before. When I was putting together this presentation, I was looking at it and I thought, what is this? So really, it's just a little bit about how Google works to make the earth a little bit better, to be more sustainable while being a tech company, which I think is important. And I think that would be valuable to a lot of people. So it's kind of cool that it's on here. So there's a timeline of how they did different things. So from where they began to where they started back in the day. So back in 2007. So yeah, you can definitely take a look at that and find a little bit more about sustainability and Google. The bottom right corner of the screen, there are 3 more links. First is the privacy link. So if you need to know about the Google privacy, and again, this is one of those things that I think is very valuable, but not something a lot of people put a lot of thought into or ever stop to look at. So if you want to know what privacy means when you're looking at Google, like what information about you is shared, what do they collect, what do they sell, what do they not sell, what can other people see when they're doing a search, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that information is in here. I'm not going to go through this because it's very, very in depth. As you can see, there's just chapters of information down this left-hand side here and all sorts of things. So, but again, good that it's linked right there and it's easy to see if you need to know about privacy, which isn't very important in this day and age, definitely can look there. Terms of service, which they have to have for legal purposes. So if you're at all interested, feel free to take a look at that. And then the furthest one on the right, I think is one of the more important links on this page, and that is settings. So when I click on it, it has, it pops up this box and it gives you quite a few different things here, which I'm going to go through, starting with your basic search settings. So you can look through this to find out a lot of this stuff isn't stuff you're going to necessarily need to change on a regular basis. You might if you are doing a specified search for something, or if you are in education or some sort of industry where a safe search or some other filters may matter to you, you may need to use this information. But I think for the general search, it's probably fine just with the defaults set, but still worth knowing if you are interested. So One of the things on here that I just clicked on by mistake is the results per page. It is default to 10. So if you're one of those people that only looks at the first couple and then you never go past that, you're fine with 10. But if you're a person, say a librarian, like, oh, I don't know, me, and you tend to dig a little deeper and you find yourself commonly going to the 4th, 5th, 6th page to find results that might match your search terms, you can actually adjust the number of results that you get per page. And you just simply click on the slider, what you're interested in, and it does tell you that you'll get faster results the fewer you have. I think that's logical, but it lets you know that on here so you can switch to get a different number of results per page if you prefer. So autocomplete with trending searches. So this is popular searches in your area. So they do that by zip code if you are signed in, or by ISP provider if you are not logged in. So there's some things searching by voice. And then some regional settings, things like that. So there's not a lot on this initial page right here. You can also look at languages. If you would prefer your Google results in another language, you can change that here. So again, that was from the Google homepage. I'm just going to leave there. From the Google homepage, lower right, settings, search settings, and then languages at the top left. So that's where you can change that. Appearance. Right now I have the dark theme on, and that's just set to my computer, but I can actually switch it back to the light theme if people would prefer to see the traditional Google page, the white with the colored Google logo. That's how that looks there. And then there's also a help on here. On the slide deck that I sent out, I did link to the Google help page for Google Chrome. With all the previous Learnabouts, I've been linking to those Google help pages because one of the things Google does really well is explain how to use their products. They might not give you that information up front, but if you go looking for it, they usually have a really good explanation for how to do this and how to find the information that you need. So I like the Google help pages. So you will find this linked in the slide deck that I sent out. So anything that you are looking for with regard to the Google browser, you will find that information right here in this help page. You can type it in by search, or you can browse through the topics. If what you're looking for is something about browsing the web, you can look in here and see what common questions are asked. So definitely take a look at those home pages or those help pages, because I do think that they can be very useful when you are working with a product like this. Next up is advanced search, which I think is a really good thing to know. There was a time when searching, and excuse me, I have a little dry mouth going on here. So there was a time when searching when advanced searches were all the rage. I remember in my early years of being a librarian, having to go into classrooms and teach like advanced search in browsers, because students, we would try to convince them to use databases, but invariably they're always using Google and they weren't getting very good results. So we started teaching them to use the advanced search within different databases. And that's really kind of fallen to the wayside because the actual searches have gotten so much better from your main browser, but that doesn't mean that there's never a call for it. So it's good to know where to find it and how to do it. So they haven't changed much, the advanced searches. You can search with different filters, all exact words, etc. You can choose by language, regions, when it was updated within a specific site. So if you only want websites that are government, you can make sure that they're only .gov sites that get returned as a result, things like that. So there are a lot that you can do with this. I just don't know that they are used quite as readily as they were in the past. So, but that's where you can find it. So lower right settings up to advanced search. The third one down, your data in search. So this will give you access to your search history. So all that you have used Google on here, the things that you have searched for, pages that you've looked at, pages that you've bookmarked, just a quick look, recent history. So this is today, I've searched for dog and Google search. So there's more probably from earlier today. That's just the 3 most recent that are on there. So if you are interested in that, or if this could be useful, if someone asked you a question about something recently, but you can't remember exactly what it was, maybe looking at your search history and seeing things that you looked up might jog your memory. So And Anne asked me in the Q&A, did I mention safe search? I did mention safe search. I don't know that I spent a lot of time on it. So let me just jump back to that, since this is a good place to quit this one. Settings. So that was in the search settings, the top one on there, the safe search filters. So safe search gives you the ability to block things that are deemed unsafe. So what does it say on there? Oh, it says pornography is on there for explicit content. So you can set it to, let me click on this so you can see a little bit more about this. Oh boy, they don't want to give you a whole lot of more information about that, do they? At least not right there. So what you will do is if you turn this on, if you turn on this filter, it will basically, if you do a search, it will filter out things that are deemed inappropriate. It does say on here, not 100% accurate. Things can get through. For the most part, it's going to block things, but it may not block everything. So you can't count on it. If it absolutely has to be blocked, there might be something else you'd need to look at instead, but you can turn that on right here just by selecting that switch. And so that is a great way to protect younger users or users who need additional assistance when they're searching. All right, I'm going to jump back to the Google homepage here. Lower right settings. So I looked at data, search history. So you can look at that in your search history. So this will go, it says on here, includes the things you do on google.com and in the Google app. So it's saved if you are logged in. We should make that very clear. I don't know if it spells that out. So my search history on this computer will work across all of my others because I'm signed in. If I don't sign in, if I'm just logged in as a Google account, it's not going to save that search history to my particular username. It may still be on the computer. If that stuff isn't automatically deleted or set up to delete on a computer, it may save it to a specific computer if you're not logged in. But if you are logged in, that history can be accessed across all of accounts. And I am saying that as a positive thing. I do think that it is a positive thing that you can find that information if you need it, to go back and say, oh, I know I saw this information on this website, but I can't remember the name of it. And you can find it there. But there is a way, I want to click back on there. There is a way to actually delete that. So you can set it up to auto delete your activities. So if you don't want to keep your history for an indefinite amount of time, or if you don't want to keep it at all, you can actually change it so it is deleted from your Google history and no longer tied to your particular account. So if you need that for protection, you can certainly use that as well. Search help, we already covered. That was in a couple of different places, but certainly worth noting that you can find it in more than one place. That really great help feature that they have available to you. And then send feedback. So if you have issues with Google, and I will say of all the things that I use, I find the fewest issues with Google. They seem to be on top of, they must pay a lot of people to keep track of what problems they have, because I don't run into a ton of stuff. But if you ever get something where there's an error or something just doesn't load properly, you can send feedback to them and let them know so that they can fix it. And then here you can switch that dark theme on or off, depending on whether or not you liked that. So that covers, I think, everything on the edges. Yes, it does. So in the main, we have here the Google search box. We have the search by voice feature. So if you have your microphone on, you can search by voice, so you can speak your search. It works pretty well. I don't know why I turned it off. I could certainly do a search. Yeah, now I turned it off and I'm not going to get it back on. It's fine. It works pretty well as most of these voice recognition apps seem to work. It works the best if you're doing simple, straightforward things. If you don't know how to spell something, that'd be a good time to do a search, although Google's very good about guessing what it is that you want to say. So you may find it as well by typing it in. And then we have the Google search button. So if you were to type something in here, dogs, I could hit Google search to search it, or I can just hit enter, which is usually what I do because it's just habit when you're typing something in. And then right next to the Google search, we have the I'm feeling lucky button, which used to be, when they first installed this, was just you clicked I'm feeling lucky and it would take you to a random Google page. to find something of interest. So if you just wanted to browse the internet, that's what this was for. Now they have this new feature where if you hover your mouse over it, it rolls kind of like a little slot machine. It rolls to how are you feeling? And I'm feeling curious, and you can redo that at any time. I'm feeling adventurous. I'm feeling funny. We're gonna do one more. I'm feeling hungry. So if I'm feeling hungry, I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter on that. And it sent me to dinner recipes, which very timely. Here it is, 4:30 in the afternoon, and you need 101 extremely lazy dinners for when you're out of ideas. That seems very useful. So just a fun little way to find some new information. I'll do one more just because they are. I'm feeling funny. Phoebe Buffet. Oh, and you'll see it's prompting me to click on the guitar. Wow. Okay, if you're my age, you were probably chuckling during that. That was not planned. That was just completely fortuitous that you guys got to listen to that quick rendition of Smelly Cat. So that's what works here with the Google I'm feeling, how are you feeling buttons on there. The next thing to look at is the actual search box itself. So one thing to note is that Google considers this not a search box. They call it an omni box. So it's a box that does all sorts of things. It doesn't just search. And they consider both this and this, the URL box, as the omni box for Google. So what that means is you don't necessarily have to go to a web page to get information. So if you just want to know what 46 times 15 is, you can see right here, it pops up 46 times 15 equals 690. So I didn't even have to actually do anything. It just start typing the equation in there and it gives you that information. I could also do divided by 2, gives you 23. So it does arithmetic for you, basic things like that. 46, let's do the $46 to completely biff that. P, it's giving me the Philippine peso, $46 to pounds. So that gives me the currency rate for the UK pound sterling. So it does a few other things on there. Trying to think of some of the obvious ones that it does in there. Define hydroponics. I don't know if I did that or if someone else did that. The process of growing plants in sand, gravel, liquid, hydroponics. I don't know if that was something I looked up recently that doesn't sound familiar, or if it's just a common search that comes up when you type in define, who knows. So using that Omnibox as opposed to having to look up a website like a currency converter and typing in, then typing in dollars and pesos or whatever it is that you're looking for. So it just sort of gives you a shortcut in the Omnibox. I got a suggestion in the Q&A. So we'll go up here, 12 inches to centimeters. 12 inches is 30.48 centimeters, not something I know off the top of my head. So just a quick way to do that. And then this box that comes up, this formula box on here, gives you a bunch of options as well. So if you don't need only inches or centimeters, you can look at different sorts of things as well. So I don't even know what some of these mean, but like temperature, if you want to do a temperature conversion, Fahrenheit to Celsius, digital storage. So I know that confuses a lot of people, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can take a look at that and figure it out. See, there's a lot of them that I don't even know that these existed. A pebabit, no idea, didn't know that was a thing. This is not my area of expertise, but it might be yours. So it is good to have that information and realize that it's a really quick way to get that, to get those converters to find out quick information without having to look up a website in advance. So Omnibox. And I think I put a link in the slide deck as well to some quick Omnibox searches. So it is a good way to quickly find the information that you might need. Let me close that. Another thing is, so when I just click on it blank, you can see the most recent things that that have been looked up. You can also start to type. So I typed the letter D and it's giving me recent things: hydroponics, define, dinner, dogs, and then some common things would be the bottom: Delta Airlines, Dallas Cowboys, Domino's Pizza, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Dairy Queen. That's quite a grouping of things to look at there. So as you continue typing, I'm just going to throw another letter in there, R. It's going to give you different things that it's suggesting. So it's trying to read your mind and suggest things that are useful. The more you use Google, the more it continues to evolve and adapt to your searching. So if you're commonly looking up definitions of word, as soon as you hit D, it's going to start defaulting to define because it thinks that that's what you're going to do. So the more you use it, the better it gets, is the theory behind it. Some people don't care for this. I personally find it very useful because if I do a quick glance, oh, there's something I already looked up last week. Here I can look it up again, start from there, etc. Also, like I said, if you don't know how to spell something, typing in what you think the spelling will be, and it will suggest different things for you. I find that to be very useful. So, like I said, let's do a different letter. Let's do a harder letter, Q. So Queen Elizabeth II, not at all surprised to find out that she's common in the Q search. Quordle, the online game, the Queen's funeral, etc. Quantum Leap, there's an interesting kind of throwback there. So you can take a look at that. Also with the Q, I can go ahead and hit that I'm feeling lucky. So all I have typed in is letter Q, and I hit I'm feeling lucky, and it brought me to the Q restaurant and bar, which according to their URL appears to be in Portland. So maybe not quite useful for someone in St. Paul, Minnesota, but you know, sometimes it's just fun to look around too. So those are some of the interesting things that can be done in the Google search bar. I'm going to move this up here. Can leave that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up a new tab and show you here in the new tab. So this is defaulting to that same tab, that same Google search, but it looks a little bit different than the main google.com. You will notice in the URL bar or the Omni search box, the Omni box, it is defaulted to search in Google. That's what the little Google logo means right there. So the first search is going to be within Google. And then we've lost the About tab up here and the Google Store. I'm just moving stuff around here since there's so much stuff on the screen, and it doesn't appear that those are anywhere else on the screen. So those are now gone. Oh, the store is right here, right in front of my face. I don't know how I missed it. And then this takes you to the Google homepage. I feel like that's a tad redundant that under the Google search bar, you have a tab to take you to the Google search bar, but what do I know? These are also editable. That's one of my least favorite words in the English language, and I find myself saying it more often than not. So you can take these out here. You could also edit the shortcut. So if it's not the Google search box that you want, but maybe you want your Gmail linked here or your Google Calendar linked here, something like that, you could go ahead and edit those and change these shortcuts to something, and then you can add another one. If you find, like me, that Amazon.com is one of your favorite places in the world to visit, you could add a shortcut to it here, so you don't have to do any typing. You can just click that and it will take you zip, zang, zoom right to it. We do still have the My Account, the Google app box, images, and Gmail in the upper right. So none of that changed. And then in the lower left down here, we have the name of and the person who designed this beautiful background wallpaper, this triangle in beautiful rainbow colors. So that's down here with a little link to see more. Oh, apparently the filters are catching that one. I'm not really sure. Normally you could take a look at the artist and find more works that they had done like by that person through that link. I'll have to look at my filters and see what's blocking that. So that is what you can do in the new tabs. That's not going to change however many tabs I open. That's always going to stay pretty much the same. So then in this Omni bar up here, which is highlighted, as you can see, we have this little share box. So if you want to share this link that you're looking at with someone else, you can do that very quickly and easily. It's not needed to copy it and go to your email and type it in and send it that way. You can simply send the link through from the box itself. You can also create bookmarks as well. So you can bookmark the tab or for whatever page that you are on simply by clicking that link and then giving it a name and then designating where you want to save it, depending on how you have your bookmarks set up. So, and then again, I will point out, I am signed in, so I can get my bookmarks turned on all of my devices. I actually do not have that feature turned on, the sync. I like to see the tabs between my devices, but I do not like my bookmarks to transfer because I use different computers for different things, and I have the bookmarks set up on each one. So I don't want my personal bookmarks on my work computer and vice versa. So I don't actually have that sync turned on because it just makes it more complicated. And I didn't want to set up folders. I like having them on this little bar right here below. So to the right, to the left of this search bar, we have the basic forward, back, and reload. Below that is your bookmarks. And then to the right of it, first thing that we have here is the side panel. So the side panel is your reading list and another link to your bookmarks. So reading list is if you find things that you want to read an article on Medium or wherever, you can save it and add it to your reading list to read later if you don't have time to read it right now. So it's just a quick way to save information that you want for a short term. It's not something you're going to come back to forever and ever, so you don't need it as a bookmark, but you maybe just want to read that article when you have a minute. You can just add them to your reading list and save it there. Again, here's where you are logged in with your managing of your Google account. And then to the right, the three dots, the customize and control of Google Chrome. This is where you will find a lot of the operational tools. So new tab, which again, that doubles with the plus sign here. If you need to add another window, so you have multiple windows open. If you want to search incognito, so incognito is a way to search without any cookies following you. So cookies are what determine, so if you've ever noticed you look up something and the next time you go to do a same search, you'll notice ads for the product you looked up before. Those are cookies that are being tracked across your accounts. And so you are getting, they're following you throughout. So if you don't like that, if it feels like an invasion of your privacy, incognito is actually a good way to get around that. By searching incognito, things aren't tracked and followed. It's more of a private searching, although I use the word private very loosely because it's not really all that private. People can find that information. It's not like no one will ever be able to know what you searched just because you use an incognito window. So bear that in mind. Here's another link to your history. Lots of ways to find the places you've been, anything that you've downloaded. Another link for your bookmarks, making your page bigger or smaller if need be. The most useful thing on here, I think, well, probably the help, again, another quick way to find help on Google, but the settings tab. So there's a lot of information in the Google settings that will help you really customize this to be your personal browser, the way that you want it. So it defaults to open to the You and Google page. So on You and Google, this is so information about you and how your account is connected to Google. You'll notice as I'm signed in, my name and email address are on there. It's prompting me to do the sync, which I've already told you is not something that I like to do across my devices. You can add additional accounts here. You can also sign out through this link right here. Sync and Google services. So gives you the ability to, like I said, carry your information across. If you want to, you can do the sync. And then there are some other things. Moving that out of there. So your spell check sends URLs of pages you visit to Google. So that's if you want Google to be looking at everything that you're doing. I don't know why you would do this. I can't think of a good reason why you would want to, because Google can see pretty much everything you do, but this is sending them directly. These are things that I visit. And I guess maybe if you were trying to get your page to be higher, moving it up the Google search results, this would maybe a way to do it. By sending URLs of these pages that you have to Google, it will take a look at that. And hopefully the more they're accessed, the higher up the Google search results it would be. That's maybe one reason you might want to use that. But not a ton in this particular setting. And I will not go through all of these just because, as you can see, we'd be here for the rest of the week if I were to go through them one by one. But a couple of things that I did want to point out. One is manage your Google account. Now you can access this page from a lot of different areas because it's specific to your Google account. So there's personal info that are in here, data privacy, security, and there was something, password, I think it was. Sorry, I'm just looking real quick to see if it is under here or not. Maybe they've removed it. So there used to be, I don't know if I even want to bring it up now because I'm not sure it's still in here and I don't want to sign in again to verify that it's me. You know what, we're just gonna pretend I said nothing because I don't know that it's on there. If I find it, I will send out an email to all of you who have participated in this to let you know what it was that I was very secretly keeping from you now. So, this is also where, this is something else I want to point out in here. This is also where you would access your password manager. So if you save your passwords in your Google account so that you can access them across devices, as I do. I like them to be locked in there so that I can use them across my devices. I was using LastPass for a while, but LastPass makes you differentiate between a laptop and a device, and you can only search in one or the other. You can't use both. And so I found that to be very frustrating because sometimes I want to sign in on my phone and sometimes I want to sign in on my laptop. And then I would have to either switch the LastPass account between, and you only get to do that so many times, or not use it at all. So I switched and went back to using the Google Password Manager. So it's linked across my accounts that way. But that's where you find that is under your Google account. So clicking on your little face or your icon, whatever it is that you use, and hitting manage your Google account from anywhere you are. And then on the left-hand side here, going to security is where you would find that information about your password manager. So that's one of the important things that you will find in there. Your contacts can be accessed in here. So if you've ever, and I use this frequently because I was trying to create a group in my Gmail. So I wanted to send emails to groups, and that's really, really impossible to do from the Gmail app, I found, but you can access your Google account and go into your contacts where they make it a lot easier for you to create a group of people. So as you can see, once I figured it out, now I have a ton of them. So you can create a label, give it a name, and then add whomever from your contacts into that particular label. And then when you are in your Gmail, you just type in the name of your label and it will let you send an email to the entire group of people. So you will find that again under your Google account on the left under people and sharing. So something that is helpful in that particular one. Payments and subscriptions. So if you need to add a credit card or something because you're purchasing something through Google Pay, you can do that through here. I don't use that for that. So it's not something I spent a lot of time with, but I know definitely there are people who do that. So you can do that through here and see your activity, anything that you've purchased, etc. And then here's my account storage, how much you have used. So it shows you what you have used across your different accounts here. So my storage is managed by my admin, and I honestly don't know how much I have, but clearly plenty because I've used a little over 4 gigabytes and seems to be fine. So, and that's, I think, all of the things that I wanted to point out to you in the Google account. So click on that again. All right. So again, we were up here and I was taking you down to look at settings, and that was the You and Google tab. Your autofill settings, here is your password manager. That is another way to check that on here that I showed you from the other one, privacy and security. So through here, you can clear your history, your cookies, anything like that that needs to be cleared out. You can also, I believe this is where you would set up, yes. So I mentioned cookies earlier and using them via the incognito mode. So right now my computer is designed to, or my Google is designed to block third-party cookies in incognito. So to stop those tracking those little tracking bots when I'm using the incognito mode, but you can actually switch that to blocking it across all of your sites. So if that's something that really disturbs you or something that you're uncomfortable with, you are welcome to change that setting. So under settings, so upper right-hand side of the browser, the three dots, go down to settings, in settings, and the left-hand side, go down to privacy and security. And you can change what is, you can also block all cookies across everything. Google does not recommend that. I'm not really sure why. You could read more about that here, or you can Google to find out more about it. But you do have the options to adjust that. You aren't stuck with only being able to use like incognito mode if you want to not be tracked. So feel free to change that. Appearance, if you just want to adjust what it looks like. So you could go to the Chrome Web Store, and I spend more time in the Chrome Web Store in that extensions presentation that I mentioned earlier that's on our YouTube channel. But if you're just looking to change the appearance of your Google, there are lots and lots of themes available. These are free. So you can just click on any one of them and get yourself a new theme if you would like. This is in the way again. One I thought was very useful is the one here that says search engine. As you can see, not a lot in here, but if you click manage search engines and site search, there's two things in here. One is, so up here in the address bar, when you are doing shortcuts, you can either hit the space bar or the tab key, or you can adjust it so it's just the tab key. So if you find that you're jumping screens because you accidentally hit the space and you didn't mean to, you can change it to tab, etc. But that's helpful as to how you can navigate. But mostly what I wanted to show you is the actual search engines. So by default in Google, Google is the default search engine. I could change that if I wanted to, but I don't. If I wanted to use a different one, I simply would. So they're going to do a default in Google. You can also search these others that are written in here. But what I wanted to mention was the ability to add. So if there's a site that you're using all the time, you could certainly bookmark it and use that. You could also add it to the site search. So click in here, type in the search engine, what shortcut. So you could use a specific key. You could put, I don't know, maybe like the % or something. Oh, I did that in the wrong. And then anytime you type that, it's going to jump to that shortcut. So if it's something that you don't use very often, you could certainly use that particular, or find a different one, or type a 2-letter code, or you can really use any shortcut that you want. And then what URL is this going to go to? So put in the link for where you want it to go with the shortcut, and you could basically add your own quick ways to get to a new site on here. So it's kind of a nice way to really customize. If you're constantly using the same site for work every single day, maybe you want to add it to your site search so that you can get there quicker, more efficiently, etc. So here's where you can adjust your default browser. Then there's some other fun things down on the left-hand side, including the Chrome extension store, which again, that I mentioned earlier that I have a presentation on that. And I think if you found this at all useful, you will definitely find that one useful. It's a way to really customize it even deeper. So this is kind of just looking at the basic settings that Chrome offers, but third parties have created little apps that you can add onto, which are Chrome extensions, which just personalize it, customize it, or make it more useful, or in some cases are just plain fun. Sometimes they're not useful at all. They're just for entertainment purposes. And so you can search in the Chrome extension store to find what you're looking for. And like I said, check out that YouTube link to find more information about that. Those can be very helpful. So I think that's everything I wanted to touch on in the settings app. Yes, it was. So that, I think, concludes my Google presentation. Are there any questions? We've got about 12 minutes left here. So if you have a question about something I didn't cover, or something that I said that maybe confused you, or whatever the case may be, go ahead and hit the chat or the Q&A function now. I'll give you a minute on that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment. All right, so briefly, I talked a little bit about the slide deck. And sorry. So this is the slide deck that I'd sent out. I linked that in the chat feature. So today's session, I talked about us, talked about Chrome. There's a link in here to the Google help pages that I mentioned. Here's a link to the keyboard shortcuts. As I've talked about in, I think, every Learnabout I've done so far, I'm a huge fan of keyboard shortcuts, how to find information. So I always like to link to a good way to find key ones. So these are specific to the Google Chrome browser, things that you can do to make it just a little easier if you'd rather, instead of sliding your mouse around and clicking 7 times to find something, just using your keyboard shortcut to get there. And then I also put a good tips and tricks one that I found in there, just one that I found on the internet. I looked at a bunch of them and I thought this one really represented the best. Coming up, we have 4 more scheduled Learnabouts. I want to say for this year, but technically January is next year. So next month, October 17th, we'll be talking in depth on Google Calendar. I will admit, when I was asked to do this, I thought, is there anything to know about Google Calendar that I don't already know? Turns out, yes, there's a lot you can know about Google Calendar that I didn't know. So that one should be fun. I think there's quite a few things. Then November 14th, we're going to do Google Meet. And I am a little giddy over the fact that I'm going to present on how to meet on Google Meet using Zoom. But got to start somewhere, I suppose. December 12th, we will be doing Google Secrets, and that's not as secretive as it sounds. It's just Google in general does a lot of cool things that people don't know about, from different apps to tips and tricks to hidden features, things like that. So I've been making a list as I go from each of the Learnabouts I've done, and then I've found some online that haven't fit any of the particular Learnabout sessions, and I just thought, why don't we put those all together in one? So if you are a Google user, you'll definitely not want to miss that one. I think it'll be very useful. And then January 23rd, Ann Casti, a librarian at Minitex in Minneapolis, is going to join us as a guest presenter, and she will be doing Canva. And so Canva helps you create sort of banners and badges and just I don't know, invitations, things like that. So if you're interested in design and customizing, things like that, Canva is a great tool for that. It's not something that I am overly familiar with. And rather than spend my time trying to learn the basics just enough to teach it to you, I got someone who's an expert in it, who's going to share all of their secrets and show you how to use Canva. If you would like to register for these or any other events that MetroNet is offering, you can do so on that link, metrolibraries.net/registration to register. If you've missed any of our Learnabouts, you can view those past recordings on our YouTube channel, which is linked there. Questions? And then, of course, I forgot to update the presentation link right there, but luckily I sent it out to you guys, so please ignore that. That's not the right one. That is my email address, though. If you do have questions for me, either on this presentation, anything else that I have mentioned, anything in general, or if you have a suggestion for future events that I can help you with, you can reach me at that email address right there, olivia@metronet.lib.mn.us. And I think that's it. That is all I have on that. Any further questions? All right. I'm going to get you out of here with 7 minutes to spare to go enjoy this beautiful September afternoon. Thank you so much for attending. Hopefully I will see you next or future months from now, and be well. Thanks.